Lawrence Still here, and welcome back to High Intensity Business, your one-stop shop for growing your strength training business and fueling your passion for high intensity training. I am joined by $1 Million Trainer Pete Cerqua. I'm back by popular demand, as Pete often is. And this is the first episode in a series about garage gyms. We did a garage gym episode a long time ago that was very, very popular. And yeah, we thought it would make sense to actually create a whole series together, didn't we, Pete?
We did, and I'm looking forward to it. We're going to really break it down for people and answer all their questions.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about setup, right? So just starting from the foundation, right? You know, if people listening to this, they've been thinking, gosh, that garage gym idea sounds really great. You know, I've got a garage, or I could build one, or what have you. I could start the business. I'm passionate about training people. You know, I could supplant my job with it and do something I actually really like. Or I could do it in my retirement or whatever. And obviously some of this stuff's going to transfer to a studio and other personal training concepts as well.
It will. It's a great place to start for a lot of people, and the information will go across a few different markets.
Yeah, awesome. So let's start. Who is this good for? Who is this a good idea for, Pete?
Anybody who's even toying with the idea of starting a business, a high intensity training business, this is good for, because you want to keep your overhead to a minimum or non-existent. You want your startup expenses to be as low as possible. You don't want to have any advertising expenses. You don't want this to be a risky venture. If you lay out a lot of money and rent a commercial space and you really dive in head first, you can get hurt. And we're finding that, and Lawrence, you know this as well as I do, we're coming across people who are thinking about starting up something like this in their retirement year. And this is exactly the group of people that you don't want to risk any money with, right? So let's keep the overhead low and let's just get this going. Let me show you how to get this. And when it becomes successful, if you want to spend more money because you're making more money, well, that's great. You can upgrade. So this is who it's good for. Quite a lot of people.
Awesome. And who is this not good for, Pete?
The business model that we're going to talk about is a hands-on business. You are your business. Who this is not good for are those people who want to be hands-off or investors. And for those people, the franchises are the best bet. So if you just want to you just really love high intensity training, and there's so many people out there that just love it. They went in for a workout. This is awesome. I want to own one of these, but I don't want to train anybody. You want to discover strength or a max strength fitness or a fit 20 or something, or an exercise coach or something like that. You want to look into those avenues. So the hands-off people, go for the franchises, let them do all the work for you. And it's a business in a box. But if you are one-to-one and you're the business and you have really no ambition to expand, you just want to share this with people, then you're going to do the garage gym.
Got it. What do you think? I think a long time ago, I recorded a podcast with Luke Carlson, CEO of Discover Strength, who you just mentioned, about like 10 reasons not to start a hit business. It's very honest, like you're helping people decide if it's for them or not. We did 10 reasons, or it's like, it could be 7 or 10, I can't remember. It's like 10 reasons why you should and 10 reasons why you shouldn't. And I can't recall, unfortunately, all the reasons, but I'm wondering, is there anything else that comes to mind? For example, if you're not really, like, it can be emotionally and physically exhausting to train people all day, right? So if you want to do, I don't know, 6 to 8 or more sessions per day, 5 days, if you're not prepared to do that kind of thing, then it might not be a great fit for you. Obviously, you could do less sessions. So I guess it depends on your goals or your needs. Or do you have any thoughts around that, or other reasons why someone shouldn't do this?
Well, that reinforces our point to keep the overhead low and the startup expenses low. Because what if after a couple of weeks, you're like, oh my God, this is like real work. I don't want to do this. I just want to do my own workouts. Then at least you didn't get burned on the money, and you've got the gym equipment and the garage set up for your own personal workouts. And that's great. Think about that same person launching into $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 venture and then finding out, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought. Holy cow, that's a lot of money that potentially down the drain. So yeah, no, Luke's right on point as usual.
What about like passion? Do you think you have to be really passionate about training people? Do you think the passion comes when you train a lot of people? How do you think about that?
I find a lot of people are passionate about 20 minutes once or twice a week. That's all I have to do. And then it becomes infectious to them. And then they want to, maybe a problem got resolved, like their neck pain or back pain, or they're just feeling better and overall. And they just get it and they want to now share it with people. I see a lot of that initially. Um, does that mean that's what you need? Does the bug have to bite you for you to be good at this business? No, you could just be business minded, and think this is a great business model, which it is. I think it's a phenomenal business model. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think it's like the greatest business in the world. So either way.
Yeah, no, I think it's a terrible business model, Pete. Kidding. Okay. So how do I know if my area is good for this type of business?
This is great. We haven't discussed this before, but there are people that I coach or people that I talk to about possibly starting up a business. And I ask them right up front, do you have potential clients in your area? And they usually respond, well, how would I know? Okay, well, let's start with just your basic demographics. Now, all of this research, you want to do some sort of a demographic study to find out if your business is going to be feasible. So how do we go about this? Well, there's a few different ways. First of all, you don't have to spend any money. Even though there are services you could pay that'll charge you quite a bit of money to do demographic studies, you can simply Google and find demographic websites where you plug your zip code in or your city name in, and it'll tell you the median home price, what your homes are selling for, what the median income is, the age ranges, how many retirees are in the area. You can get a lot of information for free, and it looks to be pretty accurate and pretty up to date. That's one. Second is I would go out there and just start. It's got to be you got to do a little legwork here, but find out what all the competitors or potential competitors are doing in your neighborhood within a 10-mile radius. How many personal training studios are out there? How many gyms are out there? What are the gyms charging for one-on-one training? And it's probably going to be an hourly rate, but get that information. Start to develop a database. I did. I love databases. And now you can just go through it and find out what the average price is. So you know what your pricing is going to be. That information alone, a little demographic study, what your homes are selling for, what your gyms are charging for personal training, what trainers or private studios are charging, is going to give you an idea if this is a good idea or not.
Okay. And just a little bit more, well, actually, just take one backward step. I think I'm just thinking of someone shooting in for the first time, like, what are you guys talking about? Garage gym, because that's ambiguous. Should we just briefly be clear and keep it succinct? What kind of business are we talking about here?
It's basically a home-based business.
Mm-hmm.
So we can, it's a broad, home-based business is a broader term and more common term. We've just had you and I, Lawrence, have just had some massive success with garage gyms. We've got a couple of friends who are just knocking it out of the park and making obscene numbers. So we kind of branded it that way. But this can be in your basement. I know a gentleman that has what they call a sunroom, which is like an extension on the back of the house. And it's the length of the house, and it's got all these wonderful windows, and so they did it that way. So, but we're calling it garage gym, but it's really home based.
Yeah, and that was a really badly worded question I gave you, but I guess I just want to describe anyone who's tuning in for the first time. What is a hit business? Just to very quickly, we talk about high intensity training. We're talking about high intensity training that was, I guess, firstly sort of popularized by Arthur Jones back in the 70s. People like Mike Mensa, more recently, maybe Dr. Doug McGuff. And that training method presents a great business opportunity because sessions are typically 30 minutes in length on average. And they are safe and intense and extremely beneficial and really appeal to obviously a busy professional, someone who really values their time. Someone who is busy and affluent is really going to, benefit and appreciate and value this service. And obviously that's what we see across the marketplace. And so in terms of the model, in terms of what it might look like, and Pete can correct me, it might be, just as an example, like 5 to 10 great machines, premium looking machines in your home space, and where you're delivering those 30-minute sessions, maybe 5 to 10 exercises, something like that in a 30-minute period. And someone's coming into you like once or twice a week, and it works extremely well. It's a very profitable fitness business. Is probably one of the most profitable in terms of like, revenue per square foot in a fitness boutique industry. And so it's a great business opportunity. So I just wanted to set the scene because I'm aware that people tune into this going, what the hell what kind of garage gym? They might have preconceptions about that. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you clear that up. The two words I like to put out there for everybody are time efficient.
Right.
And that's the most, if you look at the typical client, let's say I put two programs side to side. You're going to go to the workout A is an hour a day at the gym, and it's going to be a crowded public gym, and you're going to get this result. What if I can get you the same exact result in 30-minute workouts in a private studio with nobody in your way, just me and you and the equipment, and we're focused, and I'm saving you all that time. I'm saving you 5 hours a week. Is that something that appeals to you? That's the market. That's the product. People love to save time to get the same result. I'm not going to say the other program doesn't work. That would be irresponsible. Hey, science shows that they work. Okay. But what if I could save you all this time? What if you don't have to put all of that commitment into it? Is that something that you're willing to pay a little bit more for? And the answer is usually yes.
Yeah. Very well put. I think you described it better than me. And just a bit more on the demographic data. AI is great for this now, right? So most people get access to, Grok or ChatGPT or whatever. If you just put it in there, your area, median home price, median income, age, you'll get all that data. It'll just scrape and pull that data in and give you that output. It's super, super useful for that. Same with competitor information, business models, pricing, session length, all of that locally. You can get all of that of AI these days very quickly. So both methods work, obviously, but AI might save you some time. Yeah.
Yep. I keep forgetting how much younger you are. Yes. You're up to date.
It's all good. Okay. So, right. Where are we? Okay. So where does one start in terms of next steps? So I think zoning and permits is a big one we need to touch on because there's some places where maybe this isn't feasible.
Well, so yes, you're correct. So I live in a community that has a homeowners association, HOA. So there's particular rules. They don't want us running a business out of our home. COVID changed that for most everybody on the planet. I think people are more open to working out of their home and actually prefer it. And they're starting to let up on some of these rules. So as far as if you live in an HOA or a community that has strict rules about operating a business from your house, you definitely want to navigate that first. But now let's put that aside. Your home is your home. Setting up a business probably is not going to need any other permits because it's your space in your home and you can build a gym anywhere you want in your house. So I think you can get past that part pretty quickly. You want to define your space. Where are you going to set this gym up? Do you have a 1-car garage, a 2-car garage, a 3-car garage? How much of a 3-car garage are you going to devote to the gym? Are you going to have to build a wall so you have 1 car for the car and the 2-car part is the gym? There's lots of options. What if you want to do it in your basement? Do you have a separate entrance? Do you have a sunroom? Do you have a spare room in your house that may have a separate entrance? It's another possibility. Lots of possibilities. So step number 1 is define the space, or let's consider all the spaces you have, the options you have, and find out which is the best one for you.
And the other one is having a shed type or like a building, right?
I love
Which
that.
a lot of people do. Yeah.
Yep. We've had, I have personal experience with a detached garage, which is about 20, 30 feet away from the home. And that turned out to be a wildly successful space. That's Mike up in Connecticut.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mike Pinto's one. Yeah.
Gorgeous space, but we haven't done a shed yet that I can remember, but I would like to.
We'll put, Andre, when you check this, put a link in the description in the YouTube and on the show notes on the website with the link to the tours. So we've done there's like a compilation of garage gym tours that we did, and Mike Pinto's location's in there, so you can see that. What about in terms of like these separate buildings, right? These, I guess, separate garage or shed or still building or whatever you call it, cabin. you can get these quite cheap these days, right? They don't have to be, they're not super expensive necessarily. Have you got any thoughts around that in terms of like how much it costs and sourcing that, and like what do you go for in terms of building materials, things like that?
It all comes down to budget. There's a popular product in the United States, metal buildings.
Yeah.
And they're relatively inexpensive. They can have garage doors on them. They could just have a regular front door on them. They've got a lot of options. They're on a concrete slab. They're durable. You can insulate them. You can make awesome spaces. You can spend 20, 30, 40, $50,000 for a really good sized space. We're talking about 20 by 30, or I've seen 50 by 100 or 5,000 square feet. That's a massive building, but I've seen them for under $100,000. So you've got a wide range.
Okay.
The sheds, $20,000, $30,000 built, set up, ready to go. So it really depends on how much space you want. My problem with the sheds and the spaces are, the minute they're so great that the minute you get in there, you want a bigger one or another one. With your garage or your basement or your sunroom or your spare room, you really kind of know what you have. You're not going to expand on it. So you kind of put that out of your head. But I know it's like, I'm an equipment junkie too. Like, you can't just buy 10 pieces when you could buy 20. So
That's a
terrible
good
at
point. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's actually really useful for people. I think people can relate to that. Okay, so we've talked about the different garage kind of like configurations. What about parking, right? So you got to make sure you got some good parking situation near your home if you're going to have it at your home, right?
very much. And you don't want cars on the street if your community is going to get bent out of shape about that. Now,
Right.
most of the garage gyms that we've worked with have nice sized driveways. The homeowner or the gym owner, the studio owner, sometimes parks their car on the street, leaving the driveway open. You're only seeing one or two people or three people per hour. So, there's just a single car kind of coming in every 30 minutes or so. So it really doesn't get bottled up. And the average drive, if you have a 2-car garage, automatically there's room for 2 cars side by side. So somebody can come in, somebody leaves. It works out pretty well. Nobody's ever had a complaint about that. But parking is a consideration, sure.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Something I added to a little plan here is just safety and accessibility. You've touched already on entry, exit. What's your thoughts around clients walking through your home versus having a separate entrance? How do you think about this stuff?
I've got specific examples. So somebody I'm working with currently initially they set up their gym in the basement. It's already built and the equipment's already in. And for months, we talked about building a separate entrance, because otherwise the client will have to come through the front door of the house. And then there's a door right there to the basement and downstairs. Do you want people coming through your front door? Well, so we looked at a separate entrance option where a contractor is going to have to excavate and dig out a rather large area to make concrete steps and drainage and double doors to the basement. And I think the number came out to be, I think it was $15,000. And that was more than we were spending on equipment and everything else combined. And it just seemed to be a really, really big expense, and something that, if you do an addition or something to your home, you usually get that money back when you sell. This wasn't going to add that much value to the home. It wasn't going to add 15,000 to the home. So we decided to not go with that, save the money. And he's going to have to deal with clients coming through the front door and greeting them and walking them down. We're okay with that. That's what we're going to do for now. If business takes off and there's money coming out of his pockets, we'll build a separate entrance or a shed, because a shed was also discussed. But let's make money first.
I like that. I like that idea. Like, just work with what you have and then you can upgrade later. What about, I mean, this is just something I wasn't even aware of, but I was researching. ADA accessibility considerations depending on your location. Like, are there rules around this stuff?
If it's a commercial business, if it's a public business, Yes, there's hard and fast rules about that, and you have to obey them, or you'll get fined or in trouble, or your business closed down. This is your private home, so
But if you're
you're
operating like a business, aren't you
invited.
following the same rules to an extent?
No, I don't think so. And that's my opinion. You're not a formal business. You're a home based business. This is one step above a hobby.
Yeah.
You're taking your hobby to the next level, and hobbies are not businesses. They don't need to be an LLC. So you're going to go to you're testing the water, so to speak, because you may close, you may decide in a few months, this is not for you.
And just to be clear, this is for educational purposes only. Me and Pete are not lawyers. So please do what you want to do at your own discretion. Educational purposes only, people. Okay. So this is an important one, though. Boundaries, right? This individual who you're talking about, who I think I know, there's a little bit of a boundary issue if they've got, clients coming in through the front door, their families there, personal life. How do you feel about that? Setting boundaries, making sure that you're trying to keep the two separate as much as you can.
Well, we set up a system that works really, really well. For instance, you have to educate your clients on your service and what you're willing to do. So what we decided on was, when a client has an appointment, they pull into the driveway, they wait in their car until you come to the door and wave them in, which means you're probably bringing a client out, saying goodbye. They're already rescheduled, and their next appointment's already set. And then you just, so they're sitting, your waiting room is their car. And that's how we're getting around the expense. We don't have the space for it. And that people don't just walk into that house, with, your wife and kids there, and, or, your family members. And it's not free reign of the house.
Just imagine them sitting all in the living room, just waiting.
And actually,
I suspect some will happily do that, to be fair, anyway. Yeah.
So, a lot of my business model ideas came from people I actually know and admire and were massively successful. There is a woman who was my dentist, and she was in Brooklyn, New York, which is very far away from my studio in Manhattan. And I would get on the train and go and see her for my cleanings and visits. And one of the reasons was, she set up her dental practice in a brownstone, which is basically her home. She lived upstairs on the top 2 floors, but the first floor was a business. It was her dentist's office. And when you walked in the front door, to the left was a living room, and it was outfitted for, like a waiting room with chairs and coffee table and a TV and stuff like that. And then back where the kitchen and eating area was rebuilt for her dentist chair. And so, did that give me great ideas? Yeah. I mean, think of the money she's making and saving and investing by having her home, her dentist practice there, instead of renting a commercial space. It was phenomenal. By the way, that townhouse, brownstone, goes for $5 million.
Yeah.
So she's paying off the mortgage with her business.
Interesting. Okay. Didn't know that one. So let's see here. Okay, let's just talk briefly now about setting up the space. What are we talking about in terms of expense here?
Once we identify the space, let's just take a garage, for example. Let's say it's a 2-car garage, because we've got some great examples of this. It's a 2-car garage. It's attached to your home. And you decide that, you're going to park your cars. Maybe you live in Florida. You don't really need to have the car in the garage. You're going to put it onto the side of the house in a carport or on the street, and you are going to use this space. Okay, great. Does it have a separate door entrance, or do you have to raise and lower the garage? Hopefully it has a separate door entrance. If not, can you put one in? That's not a massive expense. Just a door into a wall is usually very, very doable and inexpensive. Now you're going to want to paint. You're going to want to prep the space. You want to do the floors. It could be an epoxy coating, which looks very nice. If you're handy and you can do that yourself, we're talking about hundreds of dollars for a 2-car garage. If you want to have it done, it could be thousands of dollars, but still reasonable. Paint the walls, paint the ceiling. Lighting. There's some awesome gym lighting these days that's available everywhere on Amazon. They're lighting kits. They look really, really cool. And It gives your space a really neat look. If you Google garage gyms,
Right.
or just get examples of what people are doing now, it's not the type of gym that we would use for our high intensity training. So disregard the equipment. Well, look at the rest of the space, the floors, the walls, the lighting, and that'll give you some pretty good ideas. Do you want a rubber floor down? It's not necessary for a high intensity space like it is for if you're doing clean and jerk and deadlifts and you're dropping things on the floor a lot, you're going to want a rubber floor. And that may be part of your high intensity training. If you're going to have machines only, then maybe you want carpeting, which gives a pretty neat look and dampens the sound and gives you a more comfortable feeling. So prepping your space, this is not going to cost thousands of dollars. It's going to cost hundreds of dollars. You're going to do a little bit of work. You may hire somebody to do a few small things for you, and you're set up and ready to go. You're ready for equipment next.
Awesome. What about water fountain, waiting area? How do you feel about these things?
Anytime you have the opportunity to do those things and it is an expense, I suggest you do it. So it's going to come in handy. So if you have any plumbing and some people actually have the bathroom or plumbing set up in these spaces, especially the basement spaces. Great. If you could have a separate bathroom, a changing room, if you have the space for that, I suggest you do it. It just adds to your business. As far as a water fountain goes, I always did, even in my studio, we have plenty of plumbing, but I did the 5-gallon glass water bottles and coolers. And that went over very big. The clients saw that you put your best foot forward with not plastic bottles, but glass bottles. And, we had a nice setup for that. They appreciated it. But those small touches don't cost a lot of money and they really add up. Plumbing is, if you've got access and you can do it, do it.
Cool. Well, look, let's stop it there. And in the next episode, we'll talk about atmosphere and branding. So a little bit more about, maybe signage and maybe music and sound and soundproofing potentially. And then we'll go straight into equipment as well. So this was episode 1, but episode 2, we'll cover that stuff and equipment, which I know Pete is super excited about covering because it's his favorite topic ever. But Pete, thanks again, obviously, for joining me on the podcast today. Where are we sending people?
You can find me at Million Dollar Training Trainer Coach.com, Million Dollar Trainer Coach.com. You'll put a link in the podcast, the show notes. Or I have a Facebook group called Resistance Exercise Professionals, or REP. And you can see how studios are handling their businesses there. So
awesome.
2 places.
Awesome. Thank you, Pete. And obviously, everyone listening, if you would like help to start and grow your strength training business, we recently reopened our free high intensity business group on School as well. And that's really easy to find. It's just school.com/HIB, high intensity business. School is spelled the cool way with a K. And there'll be a link that pops up as well and a link in the description. Pete, really appreciate your time as always. And we will talk very soon in episode 2. And for everyone else, this is Lawrence Neal with High Intensity Business, and we'll talk to you soon.